Good. I think we're.
Okay. Am I sharing correctly? Everybody can see my screen? Okay.
Yep, looks good.
I'm Mike Smith, from architect from HDG Architects. With me tonight, Andrew Campanero from HDG Architects, Matthew Stosel, who's the president at Central Catholic High School, and Mike Clements, the project manager from Macero Corporation, the construction manager for the project. So new student center at Central Catholic High School. We're going to just start off. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. I have to stop for a second and change screens. Okay. Sorry about that. Oh, let's see here. I was hoping to give you, are you seeing the screen with tools at the top?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to get to the other screen. I can't figure out why it's not letting me right. So we'll just use this one. Okay. Central Catholic High School. I was going to let, I'm going to pass this over to Matt to kind of give you guys a little bit of a background on Central Catholic before we go into the actual building.
Thanks, Mike. Good afternoon. Again, my name is Matt Stosel. I'm the president here at Central Catholic. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you this afternoon, this evening, on this beautiful day and this beautiful week that we're about to have weather-wise. And excited to provide an update on where we are since our last development activities meeting. For those that weren't a part of that meeting, Central Catholic was it's an all-boys Catholic high school here on Fifth Avenue in Pittsburgh. Has been around for almost 100 years. The fall of 2027 will be the start of our 100th years. We have been providing education to young men from around Western Pennsylvania. Almost 60 different school districts have young men that attend here each and every day. It's been around for a minute. We're fortunate we've had the Brothers of the Christian Schools that have been here for all of those nearly 100 years. And we have, over the course of our institutional master planning process, as we discussed, wanted to provide updates for the Christian Brothers community as well as for the school, which we're going to talk to you about. Next slide, Mike.
So I can go over this one, Matt.
Sure.
So just a little history on the campus at Central Catholic High School. The main building, which I'm circling here, was constructed in 1927. The Brothers House next door here, also later 1927, 1928 timeframe. They built a gymnasium building. This is where, in the next couple of slides, you'll see the new student center will be located in this corner where this gym is right currently. That was constructed in 1978. They built a STEM building, a new science building here in the corner in 2016. So a little bit of the history there of the buildings on campus. And then this next slide just gives you kind of an aerial shot of what it looks like. Kind of flipped around now, main building in the front, STEM building over here on the side, gym here. Again, this quadrant here that I'm kind of trying to outline, that's where the new student center will be in these upcoming slides. Before we showed you any of the images and renderings of the new building, just wanted to show you some images here of the architecture on campus. As you'll see in the upcoming renderings, a lot of the architecture and concepts that we incorporated into the new building we took from the historic nature of the existing campus. So you can see a little bit of this. There's some detailing and some brickwork along the top here that you'll see in the upcoming renderings. cast stone material around the windows, the red brick throughout the building. Here in this image, this is an image looking, here's Fifth Avenue right here, front of the house, the front of the main building is here. So the side of the main building has this gabled roof here with this cross in the brickwork that we also took into the design of the new student center. This image up here, this is of the quadrangle area. And one of the things we'll show you in the renderings and in the site plan is that part of this design includes a new pedestrian bridge that would allow the students to connect from right in here over to the new student center, so they do not need to travel and walk down the stairs and through the parking lot to get into the new building. So we wanted to put this image in here so you could kind of picture where that's going to tie in at. And this next slide, just a couple more images of existing architecture on campus. This is the STEM building. This face of the STEM building here would look right at the new student center. Fifth Avenue is along here. So this is the face of the STEM building that faces Fifth Avenue. You can see the Brothers House off in the distance here. And then just some more images of that historic architecture. This is some images of the Brothers House on campus. All right, so now this next slide, this is the proposed site plan. So here is an outline here, and kind of orient everybody. Here's Neville Street along the left side of the page, Fifth Avenue along the top of the page. Here's the main building. We were just looking at Brothers House and the STEM building. Here, this is that where that image we just looked at was facing, right, looking at this wall right here. So the new student center would be situated similar to where the existing gym is today. This is an outline, dashed outline of where the gym is today, right along the turf field. This red box here, this would be the footprint of the new building. Inside the new building, the intended use of it would be a new gymnasium, new locker rooms, new weight room, and new fitness room. There'll also be a new wrestling room. In addition to athletics, the new building will also house we're going to relocate the cafeteria from the main building over to the new student center building, as well as a lecture classroom and some offices will also be in the building. Additional things to point out on the site plan, along the face of the turf field along the building here, you'll see in some of the renderings, this will be a spectator deck that will allow people to stand on an elevated platform to watch games or events that are occurring on the turf field. Here is where that pedestrian bridge would tie into the quadrangle that I pointed out in that image of the quad. You'd come across the pedestrian bridge and into the second floor of the building. Additionally, we also are offsetting. So today you can park in this area right here. We'll be losing those parking spaces with the footprint of the new building, but we are offsetting that by having a parking garage underneath the building. The intention here is when everything is finished, that we would have the same number of parking spaces as there are currently today. So no loss of parking. We're just going to build an underground garage here to offset that loss of parking. As many of you are familiar with Neville Street, due to the slope of this street, it'll allow us to really just drive right in and be a full level below the turf field for the garage. Site plan also is just showing some landscaping around front along Neville Street, some landscaping along here, some trees and plantings here to soften that edge up. Okay, moving on. This first image that we're going to show you is if you're standing right at this corner here, right where the main drive into campus is, looking towards the building this direction. So this bus that you can see on the corner here, this is driving up Neville Street. You can see the pedestrian bridge in the distance here. And so, like I was saying, we took some of that brick detailing work from the main building, incorporated into the design of the new student center. See it here and here. That gabled roof concept that we were looking at, one of those images with the cross here. Much of the exterior of the building will be entirely masonry. So it'll be red brick. You'll have some block down below, cast stone around the windows, and then we're using a different color brick here so to break up the building, so it's not just one big mass of red brick. So that's the image looking at the building from the main drive. This is if you're standing in the quadrangle area looking at the entrance to the building. So the bridge here is on your left, and this would be the main entrance for the students. They'll come across the bridge, walk into this area, and either go up or down to the locker rooms or the cafeteria. Again, you can see that the detailing of the brick in this image, across here, the gabled roof concept, and some of the landscaping that's being proposed along the edge here. Another image here, this would be from the turf field, where you can see that spectator deck wrapping around this side of the building. Some tall windows here that bring light into the gym. The gym would be just beyond these windows here. Cafeteria would be up on this level here. And as we go to the next slide, you can see this would be the weight room down at this edge of the building, looking out at the turf field. So you'd have large windows looking out on the turf field from the weight room and the gymnasium along here. And then this last rendering, this is if you are standing on Neville Street looking up at the building. So parking garage entrance, you can see it right here. You drive up and turn into here. Many of these, we've cut back that retaining wall that is there today, just as a result of regrading this to get the parking garage entrance to work. We won't need as much of a large retaining wall along this side of the building. We will have retaining wall up here, as you can see, just to deal with the slope of the site. This is the turf field level up here. We'll have some fencing around that edge there. This is where the Duquesne Light wanted to put our transformer. That's what this big green box is right here at the front here by the sidewalk. But speaking to this elevation, due to the program that's just beyond this part of the wall, windows weren't really suitable for what they're going to be using the space for. But we wanted to make sure it wasn't just a plain brick, red brick facade. So we incorporated a lot of that detailing into this side of the building, mixing up the brick colors here, also stepping the building back. You'll see, you can kind of tell here, this side of the building is only 2 stories above the turf field. The other side of the building that we were looking at over here has a 3rd level. But we stepped that 3rd level back so it's not, bearing down on Neville Street. I also see some trees that are going to be planted along this edge as well. This slide here just shows you a little bit up close and detail a little bit more with what the materials are being proposed. The darker brick, cast stone, the red brick. The intention with the red brick is to match the STEM building red brick so that the newer buildings on campus have that same red brick tone. And then the concrete masonry units that'll be along the base of the building, you can see here. All right, I'm going to pass this next slide over to Mike Clements at Macero to kind of just talk through activities during construction.
Thanks, Mike, and hello, everyone. Yeah, so this is our logistics plan for the project. From a schedule perspective, we're really anticipating being able to start with demolition of the existing structure, as we've noted there in May, in a few months here, in May of 25. This summer and into the fall will be primarily demolition of existing structure, excavation for that ground level parking garage and foundations. And then into the fall, we'll be starting with most of the structure, with the actual building itself coming out of the ground in early spring of 26, and then much of it out of the ground in summer of 26. Long range, we're looking to be complete with the project in April of 27. So we're just about a two-year project, 22, 23 months to go from demolition to completion. The yellow dotted line that you see there, that is our site perimeter, our construction fencing. So that's really will be encapsulating our work to within that space, with the exception of our utility cuts into South Neville Street, and then the building has as part of the project, we're doing a stormwater management system, which will be in the main drive of Central off of Neville Street. So, other than and then the pedestrian bridge that Mike mentioned, but our primary focus will be within the yellow dotted line there. We do have our main entrance in and out of the building will be off of South Neville. Our intent is to utilize flaggers for trucks coming in and out of the site, just understanding the congestion of that street along with the side streets such as Winthorpe and Fillmore. We do have a time frame though noted above, May of 26th through August, where we'll be utilizing Fifth Avenue as our primary in and out. That is due to the fact of that's the time when we'll be setting the pedestrian bridge and installing the stormwater management system I noted. So because of that, the entrance off of Neville will be shut off for construction. We're strategically picking those months, not only because it aligns with our construction schedule, but it also aligns with the school year. It's our understanding that there'll be students on campus the entire year, but that number of students is reduced in the summer months. So that's primarily why we chose those months to do those work activities. The school has allowed us the use of the existing football field for our construction trailers and our laydown spaces for materials. So for example, when we are excavating for the new building, our intent is to get the triaxle dump trucks that will be hauling the material off-site onto the field, waiting to be loaded there rather than congesting the neighborhood streets. So the school allowing us to use the field is going to be a big help for the congestion in the area, as we do recognize that doing this project will impact the sidewalks and the streets around us. So yeah, this is really our logistics plan. And Mike, I don't know if I think there's a little bit more of a detailed schedule on the next slide.
You just want to mention parking real quick, Mike?
Sure. So we are, as Mike mentioned, we'll be removing some spaces as part of the construction. The new building will have a garage elevation floor. However, during construction, we need to place students somewhere. So we are going to carve out a section of the field. It's the orange spot there on the field where we'll allocate space for the students and any visitors. Because we're taking spots up during construction, they'll be able to utilize that corner through construction. Again, just trying to minimize impact to the surrounding neighbors. And again, I've kind of really hit on this, but just this is more of a high level through the year, the couple years that will be on site, starting in May, demoing the existing structure, beginning new at the end of summer through fall. Really the March, April, May months, you'll start to see that brick facade come to life. And then it'll be end of summer through spring of 27 will really be inside the building, getting all the finishes complete for a turnover in April. And then the building itself will be open for the students in September of 27.
Okay, that's our presentation.
All right, thank you both. Before we move into questions, just for anyone that doesn't know, Christian will be taking notes and completing a report for this meeting, and that including any questions and comments, and that will be sent to the relevant board or commission to inform their decision on this project and the next one being presented tonight. But with that, I will open it to questions, and so feel free to raise your hand or to put your question into the chat. And I'm not seeing any at the moment. And so if there are no questions, we can move into CMU's presentation. Give it another second. Okay, it looks like there are no questions or comments, so we can move into the next presentation.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. I'm going to share now. You should all be seeing the main page.
We can
Right.
see it.
Excellent. And you're not seeing yours. Okay. And this forwarded. Okay. Come on. There we go. We all good? Excellent. All right. Thanks all. Welcome. We'll make this relatively short for those that are listening and those that were here last year when we did our main development activities meeting for our new Richard King Mellon Hall of Sciences. We're not going to touch too much on the building. We're actually talking about a very, very small part of it, which we know more about now than we did when we came back and talked to when we were here a little over a year ago and did our development activities meeting. Which is today we're really focusing on our emergency generator, which is going to be down along university-owned property, mostly university-owned property along Neville. As a reminder, just to kind of quickly touch base on the building is under construction. If you saw over the weekend, the tower crane went up on the site. Super exciting. I think it's the first time I've seen 3 tower cranes in Oakland in a long, long time. So that's exciting. It's a 280-ish thousand gross square foot building that will house at the corner of Forbes and South Craig. That'll house research space for our Mellon College of Science for biology and chemistry specifically, for a School of Computer Science. And it will also hold, but you'll see right here on the lower right of this image, on the ground floor is our new, on the second floor, our new Institute for Contemporary Art, which will be directly adjacent to the Carnegie Museum of Art. We're very excited about that. You can see a lot of the architecture. If you remember, there's kind of 2 main parts of the building. There's the lower 3-story piece, which respects the setback and the height of the museum edition, 1960s Barnes edition. And then there's the taller part in the back, which is the 7-story above Forbes, and also 4 stories going down to Neville, which is the tower, which is where the science and computer science spaces are, as well as parking and service. This is that view of it, kind of looking back at it. If you're curious, this little window that's right here is the Starbucks, or that's actually my boss's window. And then this is the Starbucks down below that. So that's where we're located, just kind of orient everything. Where we're talking about the emergency generator, because of the loading dock that's down here, and because of the limited nature of South Neville, we're actually proposing to put the emergency generator across the street on property the university owns between Neville and the railroad. And we're going to zoom in right here. So again, here we have Neville, South Neville going up north-south.
Hey, Bob, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
You're actually presenting your kind of screen and preview screen.
Oh, so I want to, hold on, let me try. Thanks for telling me.
Yeah, sorry. Yep.
So I want to share again. I want to share that one. Is that better? Did it work? Okay.
Yep, that's it.
It did.
All right, cool. Thanks. Just to kind of let me go back one to show so you can see it bigger and more beautiful, the new building. And then coming down here along on the east side of the triangle site is South Neville, the Museum Drive, which is curling up this way, which goes to the museum's lower parking lot, Forbes Avenue across the north, and you can see the footprint of the building. This is that loading dock we just looked at. There's a nitrogen tank, which is in this area. But in order to maintain room that we wanted for future sidewalk along South Neville, and because of the extreme grades, we're actually looking to put the emergency generator down here just north of the existing parking lot on university-owned property. However, if you look real close, you can see that there's a little skinny corner of the generator and the enclosure for the generator that is on city-owned right-of-way. As is a lot of the loading dock. We have proceeding through the city process, approval for a permanent encroachment on the city property for that little bit of encroachment of the emergency generator, as well as, more importantly, for the loading dock and all those components that are moving through. This is one of those areas where South Neville, the road, does not equal South Neville, the right-of-way. And so the road kind of dodges and ducks back and forth on and off the right of way. And so you end up getting this kind of weird shape that doesn't match the road. So that's why we're looking at kind of doing this. And more importantly, we're looking at how we're going to landscape this and kind of make this kind of blend in as we're down there. And this was not, the reason we're here at this dam is that we did not have this finalized when we discussed this last year. Just as a note, as we're looking down on South Neville, this is an important note. Just as a reminder, there'll be a raised crosswalk that is here at the end of the trail that connects to our parking lot, and hope, knock on wood, someday future trail that goes down to the river. So there'd be a raised crosswalk to get across Neville, as well as a sidewalk to go into our building where the bike room is, as well as elevators that'll take you up to the top of the building. Hopefully someday the trail will connect up from the river all to this point. You can load your bike onto the elevator from Forbes, go down and bike yourself to Washington, D.C. So let's zoom in a little bit on the enclosure itself. Again, this is here's the road. You can see the road. The right of way is kind of up in this area, and it kind of just cuts across the corner of the enclosure area. The emergency generator will be sitting here, but it's kind of up on a rise. And so our intention is to landscape it pretty heavily with tall grasses along the slope, which will help stabilize the slope. There's 4 existing cherry trees that are up there, 2 of them which are right here and right here in the middle of the site. We're actually going to be relocating them on the prow end of the site, and then planting lilacs underneath them. And then around the enclosure, we're going to be doing hornbeam, which is a columnar, kind of gets to about 8 to 10 feet tall columnar evergreen to help screen it. And then we are also going to be using on the south and I believe the south and the west side, right, Jameson? South and west
Yeah.
side.
And
We're going to be
north.
using.
Yeah, we're gonna do it on 3 sides.
Oh, I'm sorry, the north side. So these 3 sides will be using a louvered material with louvers, but instead of having the louvers, since the road is actually below the enclosure at this point, we're going to turn the louvers upside down, so the louvers will actually block the view through there. So you'll be able to, like when you turn your blinds one way, you can't look up or down, or look up in this case. The side that's facing the railroad will be a more open omega fence, which is a more decorative metal fence. Looking at it, this is the view that as you're going down South Neville. You can see there, you can just see the outline of the generator. These are the 2 of the 4 existing cherry trees, which will be the 2 will be replanted. You can see here with the tall grasses along the hillside, and the other plantings that are going to the south or along in there. This is a view as you're looking at it as you're going back up the road. It is sitting up on this existing stone wall. And there will be a set of stairs that come up from the parking lot for maintenance and access to the generator. Because what we'll need to do when we fuel the tank for the emergency generator tank, we'll actually have the tanker come and park on our property in the parking lot, and then the person would have to go up the steps to be able to take the pipe to fill the tank to get up on there. Super exciting. And then you can see also with the landscaping and such here. Want to take a little bit of time and talk about the fence material. So not only are we we're kind of wrapping it in vegetation, but we're also using this slatted ornamental fence, which will be on the north, south, and west elevations. And then on the east elevation facing the railroad will be an omega fence. A proposed color that we're looking at for both the fence as well as for the generator enclosure itself. We're looking at go away gray, which is idea to kind of match the Pittsburgh sky, so that, well, not today, because today the sky's beautiful, but the rest of the time is go away gray, which will just kind of fade away and become background for the plants that are going to be in front of it to really kind of take precedent for it. And I think that's about it. Unless somebody really wants signal yellow, I suppose that's an option. I would recommend against that personally, but
All right.
and that's all we have.
Okay, well, thank you. We can open this project up for question and comment now as well. Feel free to raise your hand or put something in the chat box.
Andrea has her hand up.
Yeah, yes.
Go, Andrea.
Can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much for thinking about a shorter planting on the hillside that fronts the Neville piece there. The current management of the whatever it is, the Japanese knotweed is a big problem, as you know, but it really interferes with visibility. So people coming in out of the driveway there, coming onto Neville or trying to turn onto Neville are often don't have as clear a line of sight as you would want from up the hill on the side. So I was just kind of wondering if you could bear that in mind as you're looking about
Yeah, from what I understand, Andrea, that when we say tall grasses, they're not like waist high or, shoulder
Oh,
high.
no,
It's more
I
like-
understood. I'm saying
like that.
good choice. And
Yes.
just reinforcing that there is a visibility problem as
Yeah.
the site is currently configured, and just hopeful that you will bear that in mind when.
We all, for those of you not been there, South Neville is a miserable place to be a pedestrian.
And we are so grateful that CMU has indicated their willingness to include a sidewalk.
Well, yeah, everything that's going to be, if we go back again to the site plan,
It's
all
not
of
in
this
the-
area,
yeah.
there's an island, basically a peninsula, if you will, that separates the loading dock area and the apron from the road, and that will not only have street trees, but it'll be graded out to add a sidewalk when a sidewalk comes to the site from the south.
Thank you.
Yeah, we agree. It's like it's pretty unhappy down there.
Any additional questions or comments from anyone?
Hey, Bob, I've got a question.
Sure, Sean.
Yeah. So if we're talking about sort of pedestrian safety and all this, I mean, are there like locked fences or whatever? Like we can't have like undesirable behavior like behind the fence, right?
We do. The last thing we want is undesirable behavior behind the fence next to our petroleum fueled emergency generator. Yeah. So the gate. So if I go back, that's a great question. You go back here, you can see the gate. There's actually the fence goes all around. It will be locked. There'll be 2 access points on the north from the trail that goes along there, and then also from the steps. But those will all be locked. And the gate, I believe, if I remember correctly, the Omega fence to this one, the slatted fence is over 6 feet tall, like 6.5 feet tall, and the Omega, I think they're both 6.5 feet tall, just about 6 feet, a little under 6 feet tall for the Omega fence. So 6-ish is about where we are at it. So it's not easily scalable. And I'm pretty sure that we'll probably have cameras on it too.
I was going to say that, or and any kind of lighting that's a part of this project.
Not to overlight it. There's an existing street light. If I go back you can see there's an existing street light right there that's over this right at the spot.
Yeah, we also have a parking lot light that's kind of cut off in this rendering by the generator, but it's also right in that area as well.
Kind of right
people
back in here.
Relocate it. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. There are no further questions. And it looks like there may not be any more. That is all for tonight's development activities meeting. We appreciate you all coming or joining virtually. And until next time. Oh, Christian, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'll just jump in. Yeah, thank you all for coming. And I think I just wanted to say, thanks to the folks from Central Catholic and the applicant team for putting the presentation together. When there's not a lot of questions and comments, probably means you did your due diligence, and having the master plan setting up this development, I think really helped because people had a lot of foresight coming into this. So just wanted to acknowledge that. And if anyone thinks of questions or comments, I'm sure we can continue to connect with our RCOs as they connect with the applicant team. So, but yeah, thanks for the presentation, and yeah, another short and sweet dam. So we'll let you enjoy the evening.
Have a great evening, everyone.
Thanks, all.
everyone.
Thanks.
Care.
I know that it's done, but I was just kind of wondering whether anybody had asked the question, because I might have missed it, about the interference between the construction of the Carnegie Mellon site and the student center in terms of access of machinery. Did anybody address this?
No, and it's a good question. Of course, Andrea.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Aw.
Bad moment. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
and then Ellie was leaving and I had to ask a question. So,
It's okay. Yeah.
sorry. Perhaps I will ask them for clarification on this.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah, definitely something to follow up on, so.
Thank
Sorry, yeah, it went quick. It was like not many questions and then it's hard to remember it all. So, okay. All right, take care. Goodbye, everyone.